king, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Can get you out of my hand again. Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones. I'm losing it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. We are here for our post-show for Stand and Deliver, and it was a big show. We couldn't just do it with myself and Astrid. We've got one special guest and just one special person. We've got a special guest, Amanda Savage, all the way from Wrestle Talk and BodySlam.net's Monday Night Besties covering Monday Night Raw. Amanda Savage, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yay.
And of course, we had to have a special person on the show. So, of course, after causing all of the drama between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, the person solely responsible for the demolition of the Trick Mello gang, Mark Talks.
And I've even got sexy sunglasses. I haven't got ones exactly like the final boss, the head of the table, should be the head of the table. But I've got these beautiful ones here and my Bray Wyatt hat for this.
We should just get you ones that say yeet.
Oh yes.
There you go.
Oh yes.
All right. We've got Andre saying, whoop that Mark. Whoop that Mark. Whoop that Mark. Well, I don't have that sound clip, but I do have this one. But we'll get to we'll get to Trick Williams. What did everybody think of the show tonight?
Oh,
I mean-
so good.
Yeah. No, I feel like there was no moment that was like a letdown for me tonight, at least. So
Oh, I had a letdown.
I know you do. Don't worry about it.
I
Don't worry about you either.
I would say, for me, this was a very, very good stand and deliver. And it delivered slightly, but there's still a lot missing for me. That I wasn't... That stand and deliver has always been, let's showcase NXT. Let's get those fans that don't watch it. And there's parts of it I went, oh, no. No. Well, that's me.
I think they delivered that moment, though. I mean, we had Oba Femi versus Dijak versus... And again, we'll get to that match in full. But I think if you're talking about stand and deliver moments, Oba Femi carrying Josh Briggs and Dijak on his back and then doing a Death Valley driver to the three of them is one of the more impressive things I've ever seen in professional wrestling.
Very
But
true.
we're going to start with something that was announced during the show, because I think it's a good idea to talk about it now at the top of the show. Ava comes out and announces a surprise that I've never heard hide nor hair of. We're getting the North American Women's Championship in NXT. We are getting a mid-card championship for the deepest women's roster in North American wrestling. Yes, Ring of Honor. Deepest women's roster in North American wrestling.
Yeah, very happy that happened, though. That was unexpected, though. I really thought you were joking when you sent it to me. I was like, I thought you were joking about Roxanne and Lyra. I was going to be like, eye-rolling emoji for you. And then I saw your tweet later in the Discord and went, oh, never mind.
Yeah, Astro had no reaction to me saying that there was a new championship. She's like, "Excuse me," and
I
posted
missed
the
it.
tweet in the Discord. Amanda,
I
what are your
missed it.
thoughts on the North American Women's Championship?
Oh, I'm so excited. I also think it's the deepest roster. Like I love the NXT women's division. I think what they do, even in not matches, like you don't feel like there's anyone that you don't know as a character. I think at least like even when folks become very new, like even Ren Sinclair, they've had how many weeks to really flesh her out, and we've already seen so much more than what we sometimes in other scenarios you go months and months and you still don't really have a lot more about a person. So I do love their division so very much. I think it's exciting. I am still of the mindset that I want a mid-card women's title on the main roster too. So this seems like a good step in the right direction. I think being able to demonstrate from an NXT level that they're not only is the roster deep enough to hold another title, I think the interest is high enough. So this will be nice. Hopefully NXT can be kind of a proving ground so that we can see an addition of a women's title on the main roster. That's my dream goal for this next year.
I think the value in something like this is the fact that NXT has chosen to flesh out storylines, like you said, with multiple women. There's constantly something going on. Gigi Dolan and Ariana Briggs are doing something. I mean, it's not taking nearly as much of my attention as I want it to, but they're trying. Like, I'm dying for like the segment where we get the Crazy Diaries like makeover segment. We haven't gotten yet.
Yeah.
But I like that they're working there. We have Thea Hale, Jacy, Jayne stuff that's been going on with no championship implications, just people doing things for a reason. NXT has done a great job of making sure the women's division has stories going on that don't have to revolve around a championship. Meaning that when you bring in another championship, you can continue to tell those stories. And every week we get 2-3 matches plus another 2-3 segments. On this week's show, we didn't realize until I was putting the thumbnail together that there were 4 women's matches on the Go Home show.
Right. Yeah.
And then there were 2 women's matches on here. So they've definitely been doing it. Andre coming in. TNA has a better women's roster, but if the rumors are true, they'll be featured in NXT and WWE.
There you go.
They have higher top end talent, but they're not as deep of a roster. NXT women's roster, while green, is growing, and they're continuing to add talented women who are learning what they need to do. Whereas TNA has a lot of top end talent with the Jordan Grace and Naomi was there and Masha's there, Killer Kelly's there. There are women there who are top end talent. But once the roster gets past that first 4 or 5, it drops off significantly, especially in their tag team division or the 2 tag teams that exist in the tag team division.
I was going to say, lack thereof tag team divisions. Yeah.
Well, we now have Julia.
Yes.
Yeah.
For those that didn't see mid-show, there was the tweet from Triple H with the point. We have the Triple H point tweet, so I'm going to guess that means she's signed in some way, shape, or form. She's signed to NXT. Her, Rossi, and William Regal sitting ringside. Mark, what do you think about the North American Women's Championship?
I think it's great, and I think it's amazing to have. The only sticking point is the name. I wanted for it to be solely for the women's division, right? You've got the NXT Women's Championship, but then they're doing the WWE thing where you grab the same thing as the men's main title and then put it white. And I wanted something different because of how you guys have been saying how the depth of the roster is. Let it stand out. Let it be different. But apart from that, I think they deserve it, and I think with it coming around is really going to help as well at the same time. But just for me, I wanted it to be different, for it to not be the WWE thing where you just get the main title of the men's, put the white on the strap, and go, "There's the women's." Off you go. Personalize it for the women.
Andre also, and for those that don't know, Andre C is part of the Our Local Establishment team where they do the Japanese wrestling update. Him and Mel have Andre and Mel Ball's Wrestling Talk, where they talk all things Japanese wrestling, including Stardom. So he is very familiar, and they're both very bitter that Julia is headed to the United States to work with NXT.
Yeah,
We're gonna go ahead and get to the card. I don't know if everybody watched it, but we're gonna talk about it when we got the chance. The kickoff match between Joe Gacy and Shawn Spears. I know, Mark, you weren't around to watch the kickoff match. But Ash, what were your thoughts on Joe Gacy versus Shawn Spears?
I thought it was a good. It almost felt like the opener of Stand Deliver because it just had such a good energy to it. I honestly was not expecting Gacy to win. I mean, I was still rooting for him, but I didn't think he was going to win as my prediction, to be honest, because of the way they have been putting up Shawn since he returned. So that win from Gacy came out of nowhere for me. And I like how we still have that part of like Rich getting involved for the beginning because we I know for us, we know he's not retired. But to have his involvement there after he said he was leaving, that was kind of like, that's very fishy of you, sir. Especially with Gacy there. But I'm glad that Gacy, it didn't let Gacy just lose because of that happening there as well. But yeah, it was like, I feel like they had good chemistry. I like how the match is going. I like how every time Gacy went for his finisher, Shawn had something to hit him with. There was always a counter to it, always. But I liked how it ended, and I'm glad Gacy got that win. It was like, Team Gacy here.
Amanda, your thoughts?
I just want to see such good things for Joe Gacy. I feel like it's a similar artistry to like Sami Zayn, where I want to be able to just see them craft it. Like from bottom up, you decide what the character is, you decide what this character is doing, and go from there. Because I do think that he's incredibly capable of coming up with something really compelling. And I've been loving everything that Dijak is doing. So we'll get to that, obviously. But I love everything Dijak's doing. I'm liking what Joe Gacy's doing. But the two of them together, like, I didn't necessarily want that to end. Like, I still want to see them fight each other some more. So I hope that is in the future as well.
Yeah, I think it was a great match. I think it did exactly what it needed to do. It got the crowd hyped. It got the crowd kicked up. I like the idea that they left the mics on when Shawn Spears was making his entrance and they were yelling at Ridge to get back here. And then they turned the mics off so that they don't blow the spot when he does eventually hit Gacy. I thought that was an interesting use of the audio to make it look like a mistake that they accidentally left the audios on for the pre-show crew as he tries to go after Spears and then actually goes after Gacy. Again, the match was what it was. It was, 7-minute match just to kick off the show to get the crowd hyped. But I like Gacy getting a win in his hometown. He's from Philly. He wanted to have a match in front of his Philly crowd. They gave him a kickoff match to go ahead and have that opportunity. And I like the idea that he keeps working from underneath. He gets attacked by Shawn Spears on Tuesday, still goes the distance as far as he can with Oba Femi. Match didn't end the way they wanted to, obviously, because of the potential concussion. But he comes out tonight. Obviously, he's full gear, ready to go. And he has another hell of a match, and this time gets the big win. I don't know if it hurt Shawn Spears, but it makes me slightly less interested in Shawn Spears. However, I am still really more interested in this Ridge Holland Shawn Spears thing because there's obviously something more at play there with that. But that will be something we have to talk about as we go in the next couple weeks and months. We then move on to the main show, and I was correct that we are kicking off with the Wolf Dogs successfully retaining the NXT Tag Team Championships against Axion, as I've started to call them, because I can't. They either need a tag team game or to break up, because I can't keep doing this Nathan Frazer and Axion crap every week. Amanda, what do you think of the tag match?
I've become so attached to the Wolf Dogs. I really thought they were going to lose and then disband. So then when they won, I was pleasantly surprised. And I feel like it wasn't as much of an indictment on Axion. I like that name. They always put on a great match, and it's fun to see them, but I also am kind of excited to see the Wolf Dogs continue. So we'll have to see where it moves on from here. But just the combination of Axiom and Nathan Frazer are really fun to watch, and something that there you go. I think it would just be so it'll be interesting to see where they move ahead in the future, because they kind of have these titles wrapped up with the Wolf Dogs, which are really fun. But Nathan Frazer and Axiom, it is a mouthful to say it all together. Naxium is they are so fun together. Like it's one of those where two singles folks that you don't necessarily think about putting them together, but then once they are together, you're like, oh wow, this is a great team. So I'm excited to see where the tag division overall goes. There are so many, it's pretty stacked in NXT. They have a lot of tag teams as well. So I guess them retaining was a surprise to me. I sort of thought they were done with NXT, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we do have a draft coming up, and as Triple H says, about a month. So maybe it's just playing things out until we get to the draft and figure things out once we get there. Mark, I know you're a big fan of Bron Breakker, so why don't you go ahead and talk about the Wolf Dogs?
I think I was very, very, very surprised that they retained. I really thought that this was going to be the trigger for Bron Breakker to go to SmackDown, as I remember his sign, to go to SmackDown and start taking people apart. And then that spear, God, he put more on that than he's ever done before.
It literally moved the ring.
Yes. It literally, I was sat in the car coming home from watching football, and I was sat in the car and I was watching it on my phone, and I thought it was an excellent match. And I thought as well with Naxium, is that the name? Have I said it right?
Yeah.
Thank you, perfect. With Naxium, they had the perfect game plan to not only get the crowd hyped to start the show properly, but to show the flaws in Bron Breakker and Baron Corbin with the speed. And I thought there was one bit that really caught me was Nathan Frazer. Was when he runs against the rope, goes forward, then darts, and then goes again. And then there's Baron Corbin just trying to grab him, and he can't because of how quick he was moving. But for me, I get why they've retained, but I don't think it was the right choice, in my opinion, because I want WWE to unleash Bron Breakker. That's all I want. Unleash him. Bring Baron Corbin with him if that makes life easier for you. But unleash this animal that cannot be tamed, and at some point put him with Paul Heyman. But let him loose. That is. But apart from that, a great match, great opener, and I really, really enjoyed it.
The part about Paul Heyman is interesting because Paul, in his speech last night, talked about working with the future, and he talked about working with Bron Breakker. He talked about working with Carmelo Hayes. He talked about working with Jade Cargill. And it started people's minds turning as to when Roman said, you'll stop seeing the tribal chief when the wise man is no longer by my side. It started the mind turning that Paul's not done once he's done with the Island of Relevancy. That there's something beyond that. And the perfect mouthpiece for a Bron Breakker would absolutely be a Paul Heyman. I thought this was a great match. I loved everything about this. Bron almost got in his own way a couple of times. He did that like jumping knee to Axiom on the top rope, and he fell down and knocked himself silly, so he had to go tag out to Baron Corbin. The Frankensteiner that Baron Corbin got in the way of. Lots of little things that could have been looked at as botches. It just kind of looked like these guys just trying to do whatever it could to survive. But there's still a story to tell with the Wolf Dogs. There still is one story left to tell, and a story that I thought NXT was going to tell at Stand and Deliver. And that's the Good Brothers. They came down, and ever since they've been here, the Good Brothers have been picking and gnawing at the Wolf Dogs. And when they didn't get this opportunity here, I was like, that's interesting, because you've spent the last 3 weeks telling us that we're going to see the Good Brothers versus Baron Corbin and Bron Breakker, and then that's not the Stand and Deliver match they gave us. So there's still a story to tell, and I think that's where we go next. And I think that's where we get our next NXT Tag Team Champions. And it gives Naxium another hill to climb. Because now there's a team that they can beat. They're not as fast. They're not as brutal. They're not as violent. as the Wolf Dogs. It's a team that they can conquer, and it has a little bit more name recognition by taking out the former IWGP, the former TNA tag team champions, the former WWE tag team champions, the Good Brothers. It gives them that little bit more. The match won't be as good, but it'll give Nathan and Axion that little bit of extra added oomph once they get those belts. And then the Good Brothers go disappear again to wherever AJ is going to take them.
Yeah, but would it be a bit of a waste, though, in my opinion, giving the Good Brothers the NXT tag title?
It won't be long. It won't be long.
Because in my opinion, right, as much as I can't stand one of them, but
let's all just say it. It's Luke Gallows. We don't like Luke Gallows.
It really is. Yes. The big LG can big Gowowski, in my opinion. But for me, I think that would be, if you're going to give, like with the Wolf Dogs, if you're going to have that special moment where they're going to lose those titles and they will go to the main roster, right? I think it should be an up-and-coming tag team that hasn't... Yes. An up-and-coming tag team that is getting there. I don't think it should be veterans coming in. It's like, for me, right? Hypothetical speaking, talking of the tag division, we're on it. The Hardy Boys could be available to come back and could be available to do something. For me, I do not want to see them on Raw or SmackDown. I don't want to see them anywhere near it. I do not want to hear the word delete. I don't want to go, wonderful. None of that. What I want to see is Matt Hardy going to NXT and training the next talent of tag teams to go forward. And to do that, I think that if you're... The Good Brothers are not there. They're not that name that the Hardy Boys are. I think it would be a waste for them to put those tag titles on the Good Brothers, where there's a lot better up and coming or anyone but them to have the tag titles, in my opinion.
Astrid, we've all been weighing in here. It's time to let you go ahead. Weigh in on two of your favorites. Axiom are two of your favorites in NXT. This must have been a blow to lose this one.
And I had Baron on the other side, and it was hard to cheer for anybody in this match. But it was a struggle to begin with. But no, I love that this was the opener. I love the high energy they brought up, and this is what we needed to start the show and give the people that energy that we had throughout the whole show, because it didn't die down at any time, if you notice, from the crowd. But seeing the part of, like, for example, Baron going to the top rope and doing a splash, it just makes you, like, takes you to that moment of, like, he doesn't go to the top rope often, but I'm like, it calls for a moment that he felt like he had to do it to keep those titles. It's like that message that he sends as he's doing that. So to me, that was amazing to see. I did love that also, that moment when Bron comes in to do the spear and Axiom just pulls in Nathan, and Bron hits the steel steps too. It's like, I love the timing of that and how they helped each other in that aspect. And there was so many moments, like the super kick that Axiom did to Bron, because Baron had Axiom all controlled, and then all of a sudden Axiom does a super kick to Bron, and the way he just fell, and they even had to do a replay of it because of how great it looked. It's like, those are the moments that made me think, like, I didn't know who to root for. I didn't know who was going to win the match. But at the same time, I was thinking, like, along with everybody else, it's just like, oh, the Wolf Dogs are going to lose because Bron has to go to SmackDown. That was my train of thought since last night. So to me, it was one of those moments that I had no idea who was going to win. I feel like it could have gone either way, and it would have been great. This is what I love about this match. It would have been good with either storyline, but I hate that Axiom lost, but it is what it is. But I like the Wolf Dogs together. They're growing on me, so it's unfortunate that they're going to grow on me, that they're probably going to break up, which I hate, but that's what happens. But it is what it is.
Our wonderful friend Barry Monkey's finally joined us and says, hello, everyone. Can you start again so I can tell you you're wrong? Oh, different people. Hello, Mark and Amanda.
Hi.
Barry's one of our wonderful friends from across the pond who follows and checks in with us every week, even though it's 3 a.m. normally when he's watching these shows after NXT goes off the air. Mark is back with us. He's decided to take a seat now because standing is I thought standing for an hour and a half might be a bit much for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my legs started dying about 5 minutes into it, and I was like, I'm going to see how long I'm going to do this. And then it got to a point where when I was talking, I was like, I'm forgetting half the things I'm saying because my legs are dying. So I was like, I'm just going to sit down.
Well, we do have Metaphor backstage in Dallas Cowboys gear in Philadelphia, which is a bold fashion choice. I'll say that. What it wasn't their most bold fashion choice of the evening. We'll get to that. They also all volunteer Oro Mensa to go talk to Obafemi, which it's the greatest thing. They've done this a couple times with these guys where they try to send them to get interviews with random people, and they never ever get the actual interview. Oba comes barreling out of the locker room and knocks Oro Mensa on his butt. They all get out of the way, and we get on to the triple threat match, the match that stole the show for me. But first, Dara Amazing's joining us. Hello, Dara. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
I love it, by the way, how in sync we nearly all were by waving at the same point there. No one prompted that. Nothing. We were all so close to being in sync with waving as well. Yeah,
well, talking about being in sync, these three meaty men were slapping meat, throwing meat, doing everything they could to this meat. I mean, this was fantastic. Obafemi, me and Asher talked about this on the pre-show last night. There was a chance that the man who's had less than 20 professional wrestling matches might not be ready for a stage in front of apparently 16,000 people, according to WWE. I'm going to assume it's closer to 13 because it's WWE and they always do a little bit of over-investigation. Dara saying it was a great show. It was. DC Hendricks stopping in, saying hello.
Hi, Bestie.
That is your co-host on Monday Night Besties, if I remember correctly. Yes. Okay. I watch the product sometimes. This match was put together in the most, three meaty men plus Knuckles and the enchilada. We'll talk about Knuckles because that was the weirdest product placement in the world, and we'll talk about that later. But Obafemi was the star that they needed him to be tonight. They built this match in a way that all he had to do were the things he needed to do, but he didn't shy away from being the Nigerian Thanos that he calls himself. This man kept getting up, kept doing things. And while the finish will be debated for months about the fact that Dijak won this match because Obafemi helped Dijak pin Josh Briggs.
He stopped it. He
choked him and pushed him down.
He touched him with his big meaty hands to stop it. The referee saw the big meaty hand and went, not going any further.
No, the referee saw Obafemi coming towards him and ran out of the way and started counting the pinfall.
Probably the right thing to do, to be fair.
Well, he already saw that Obafemi, while I believe it was Dijak had Briggs on top of his shoulders, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Or is it the other way around?
No, you're right.
On the top rope.
Yeah.
And then Obafemi got underneath the two of them and took 4 steps towards the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
And then Death Valley drove the whole combination, which has to be one of the wildest things I've ever seen in professional wrestling. I'm just so happy that these three guys got this spotlight and it got that much time, and the match was built precisely around Obafemi being an unstoppable monster. Barry coming in saying Dijak and Briggs doing most of the work, unsurprisingly, but Oba did the parts he needed to do really well. Sometimes with a young wrestler, all you need to do is just make sure that they're in the right spot at the right time. Amanda, what were your thoughts on the triple threat match here?
Oh, so good. That Obafemi is someone that is so exciting to watch. And I think it was difficult to grasp the size of the three of them because they're all comparably sized. So like mentally for me, I had to keep telling myself everyone's over 6'5". Everyone is over 6'5" in this match. The things that they're doing are not normal for us to be seeing this big of men doing these things. And it was unreal. That was my favorite. That was my favorite match of the night. And I do think that it won't, I think it will stand up over time. That wasn't something that was like, it was funny, or, it's like sometimes moments are based in other emotions. I think this was genuine shock and awe of what we just saw those three athletes do. And those are the moments that hold up and really stand the test of time. That was exceptional. So good. I love NXT.
Astrid, your thoughts on Femi versus Dijak versus Briggs here?
I love how they continue the energy that we got from the opener, because being that they're the bigger guys, you kind of expected them to be a little bit slower and kind of bring down the energy a little bit. But I like how I was just so wrong about all three of them in this match. And I noticed a lot of it being like Dijak and Josh too. I like how they gave them that highlight that we don't get to see often from both of them. I wish Femi would have been a little bit more involved in that aspect. It would be the only thing. But once he was outside a little bit too long, I was thinking he's definitely gonna come in at the end and retain. That's what the plan is. But seeing Josh, especially like as a singles competitor, come out and be able to show off himself in such a way, and how powerful he is and how confident he looked by himself out there, is just something that I just love seeing it. And just like we're so used to seeing him with Brooks as a team, that I feel like we always get like little bits in between them, but to see him continuously go like, oh, they're also equal to each other. That was kind of hard to like pinpoint him. I mean, if it wasn't because I knew Femi was retaining, I feel like it could have gone either way with all three of these guys, because they all hit everything so well. The way that they went, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, that Josh did kind of like a spear to him at the end to Oba, and the way that looked, I was like, holy crap. And just like the moments that they have that I like is like whenever they did a move, they will kind of stop in a moment, do a pose, and the crowd would kind of give their reaction to it. And we heard so much from the crowd during this match, and so impressive to see how they went to like such new heights in this match. It's just incredible, and I loved it from beginning to end. This is one of my favorite matches of tonight.
Mark, what about your thoughts on the triple threat North American?
Well, you know me, Ed. I love big meaty men slapping meat. So for me, this was like every dream I've ever had come to existence. But I think I will go back to one of the first times me and you had a conversation on NXT, and it was a gentleman called Commander Aziz. And he lost a match against a little fella. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember what the match was. But I was angry. It could have been, yes. And I was very angry that that NXT were going down the old WWE route of not letting the big guy be the big guy. Let him destroy people. And the one thing I found with this match is all three people in this match, you could all tell that you couldn't tell by the crowd audience which one was a face and which one was a heel. They all got reactions. They could all be heels, and they would all get the same reaction as what they got because of the product they put on. But Femi, I don't know what he's done to my life since he's come into it. But my God, I love this man. And the way he talks, his presentation. If he loses, the only thing that I'm not a big fan of is the elbow pads. If he loses that, but everything else stays, just lose that, then if he goes on course with what he's saying, bold prediction time, we're going to do a few of them tonight. If he carries on course, in the next 5 years, he will be world champion on the main roster. In the next 5 years. I can see him having a group where, like, he's going to be, not that anyone could be it because he's the greatest thing in the world, the thing ganado. He's going to have a group around him where he's don't you start, where he is going to have people around him, but he's still the sole focus and still the sole talent that can destroy people. And I feel like if WWE do this right, he's going to be a massive star.
I think that the way I've put it since the first time we've seen him and he had his first opportunity to talk, this is what WWE thought they were getting from Omos.
Yes.
He's smaller than Omos in terms of he's not 7'3", but this is exactly what they wanted when they had Omos. He's Nigerian born. He is a big brick wall of a black man, and he can talk. He has a way to conversate with this crowd. More importantly, this crowd adores him. To the point where it literally was one of our commenters pointed it out, and I thought about it, and they're right. The crowd throws him off his beat because of the fact of the way they keep cheering for him in his promos, and he's not quite used to it. It makes him stutter a little bit. And it's the crowd cheering for him and being on his side that's throwing him off a little bit. And they need to tone it down just a little bit to give him the opportunity to get ready for it, because it's not something he's used to. But I liken him to Omos, where he is exactly what they want. He is exactly what they want and need. And I agree. I think this man could be world champion. I think next Stand and Deliver, I think he's in the main event.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next Stand and Deliver main event could very well be Trick Williams versus Femi for the NXT Championship.
All right. Who's the champion going into that?
Trick.
Go on.
Trick. Easy.
I
not even a question.
No,
I think Trick is winning the title at Battleground.
You think he's going to win it soon?
I think he's winning it as soon as physically possible. As soon as they can put that title on the line again, I think Trick's taking it, and I think Ilja is headed up to become the new Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It means Gunther can go and smash whoever's world champions. Oh, fine.
Yes. We'll talk about that again as we talk about WrestleMania stuff later on. We do have a question going back to the tag match. Dara Amazing says, do you think the tag match was David versus Goliath like? A little bit. I don't think it didn't. None of the guys are big enough to really make it David versus Goliath, because Bron and Baron, while big, they're not Briggs, Oba, Dijak big.
Right, so I've been off NXT for a little while, and I clip here and there, and I watch it. Josh Briggs, right? He was in a tag team, right? With the little fella with the curly hair.
No, motherfucker. Yeah, him.
What the hell happened to him? Because he's now become an absolute beast. What did the final boss go up to him and slap him and put some realization in his face?
So
what happened to him?
He's explained it that JBL, the endorsement from JBL before to be put into the Iron Survivor was the catalyst to think that there's something here beyond just being a tag team guy. And then JBL was backstage at NXT another night after Deadline. And that was the time where he was like, look, you got to do this for you. You can't do it for anybody else. You have to do this for you. And that's when Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley looked at Jensen and goes, look, you're the weak link here. Goodbye. And they kind of broke the group up. Right, they're all doing their own thing. Well, and now Jensen's trying to prove himself that he can be one of the guys, and it's not working very well. And he said on Twitter that he's going away.
We had this conversation. I can't remember what the match was or who it was. But I would like to see, if you're thinking of taking the tag teams away from Bron Breakker and that, Dijak and Briggs do a team up, which will then lead to them going, no. I'm getting a no. Okay, no, all right. Don't worry about it.
I don't want Josh Briggs in any more tag teams. I want Josh Briggs and Dijak to do their thing. I know Femi can't lose that title for a little bit here, but I just want to see them all having fantastic matches. I don't mind.
It's fine.
Josh Briggs versus Ilja Dragunov for a match that Ilja just easily wins. Fine with it. Just let these guys flesh out these singles things. There's no more tag teams for Briggs. He's too good for tag teams.
Fine. Don't worry about it then. Don't worry about it. All right.
We then get a backstage. We get a backstage look of the family, not this D'Angelo family, but the other D'Angelo family. God, I'm getting so much mileage out of that clip. I love it.
Yes, you are. Oh my gosh.
It's so stupid. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but the fact that they highlighted a family named the D'Angelo family, and I'm just like, well, that's a new piece for the internet. But after we get the family backstage, no real talk. We get Metaphor in lingerie and sleep outfits, which was unusual. I didn't understand why.
Why not?
I thought they were going to be interviewing Wendy Chu when I saw what they were wearing.
No, but why not? Do you not walk around your house in your pajamas?
Yes, but I don't do it at a wrestling event.
But if you had the opportunity, would you?
Oh my god.
Maybe if I looked like them, but I don't look like them. I look like me, you know.
Yeah, but Ed, you're a very gorgeous looking man. Don't put yourself down like that, all right? Thank you very much.
Trust me,
Aww.
Not having that
nobody
negativity
wants to
against it.
see. Nobody wants to see all of this in lingerie. Anyways, moving on. They
I'll
try to
put my
talk
hand up,
to
I
Thea
do.
Hale.
I
try to
volunteer
talk
as
to-
tribute.
Okay, hold on. There we go. They try to talk to Thea Hale. They try to talk to Thea Hale, and Thea Hale puts Noam Dar in the Kimura after being told by Andre Chase that it's a bad idea that she's in the zone. And we get Toxic Knockoff. We get knockoff Toxic Attraction. I'm changing the name because Asher didn't like the name I gave them last night of Trashy Toxic 2.0. So we're going with Knockoff Toxic.
Okay, that's better.
Before we get there, Briggs and Dijak. No, bad Andre. Bad Andre.
No.
We get the six woman tag between Knockoff Toxic and Thea and Friends. I like the similar style gear that Thea and Friends was. They all had the gear that looked similar. They weren't the same color. They weren't the same exact style, but they were all kind of in a uniform type of attire. I thought that was nice. Mark, what do you think of the match?
I think it sold to me before going into this match that my prediction about Thea Hale in the next year. I've done these before, and as you guys know, I am brilliant at doing predictions because I told that I think it was Stand and Deliver last year that Trick Williams versus Carmelo Hayes was going to happen. And I'm going to say this. The next Stand and Deliver, Thea Hale will either be holding or going after the NXT Women's Championship. She's got it. The it. She's a crazy... She looks like she's been plugged out of her. She's new batteries have been put in and she's going fucking nuts. But for me, she's got that level of she can bring the audience in. There's something about her that just, and also Jacy Jayne, please get a new gimmick because you're still in Toxic Attraction. You're not in Toxic Attraction anymore. For the love of God.
I literally think she was wearing Mandy's jacket.
Yes.
Like, not like a jacket like Mandy. I think that was Mandy's jacket from one of the pay-per-views.
Let it go. You're not getting back together unless Mandy wants it. So just let it go. Please. You and Gigi Dolan need to go somewhere to a factory and reset everything. And
don't worry.
Do something different.
Ariana Grace is going to reset Gigi Dolan just fine. Don't you worry. That's coming.
Perfect.
Ashley, your thoughts on the six-woman tag?
I was gonna say it's gonna take a while for that reset to happen. It looks like. No, I think the match was fun. I like how it was very balanced between both teams. I was surprised still that the guys came up with Thea, but I like having the guys on this side and only Jazmyn on this one. So I felt a little bit better about the interference, if anything, was gonna happen. But the mean girls, as I call them, the stable on the other side, they started with the frequent tag. So I knew they had the moments of like Kelani being what I call the rag doll. She was there for quite a bit of time before she was able to tag out. But I did like especially like how through the match we see Jacy avoiding Thea, and it's always something happening. She's avoiding her, and even when she finally gets that, they have that moment, and the crowd is just so into it. And I really love how they wait until like towards the end of the match for that to happen, and just waiting for that good moment of when the crowd is into it, and then we get kind of that moment. It's a preview to what their one-on-one match is going to be like, because we know that's probably going to happen sometime soon. But I really enjoyed how it was between both teams. I really did think the Mean Girls were going to take this one, though. I was not expecting the Good Girls to win, because I expected it to be a little bit longer. So that part is the only thing that I thought was kind of strange at first. And I'm glad I wasn't the only one, but some people have been noticing when everybody was celebrating that Fallon kind of looked upset in the corner. I thought that was kind of weird. And I was like, you just won. Why you look upset? That's the part that I'm curious about now more than anything coming out of this match.
Yeah. Amanda, your thoughts on the women's tag here?
I thought that too about Fallon, and I didn't know if anyone else saw it. So that's interesting that it wasn't just, she did look kind of sad. And I didn't, So that'll be interesting to see if that's like something, I don't know. Maybe that's a storyline piece. Maybe we'll have to see. I also expected the bad girls to win. I could see, I feel like Kiana James, I feel like so many of the people in this match might not stay in NXT very long. So it could be one of those, sort of like where we saw Tiffany Stratton in the barn, and then she's done with NXT. Like she disappeared from the NXT kind of universe. So I wonder if perhaps Fallon Henley just like that's her disappearance from NXT, is that this match. But I love the women's division in NXT, and I love that they actually have such it was kind of a knockoff Toxic Attraction. I can understand that perspective. I can see that. I do think though that Izzy Dame being fairly new, she and Kelani Jordan, I don't think stuck out as folks that are less, that we haven't seen for years and years. This is their first stand and deliver, I think, both of them. And so the kind of the ability to showcase folks at different levels in the same match all at the same time is something that I was impressed by in general. So that's because I do think like a Kiana and a Fallon Henley, I could see them very easily transitioning straight away to the main roster. Like in my mind, they're kind of already ready to go type of a deal. And we've also seen Jacy Jayne for quite some time, but it was a nice showcase for the newer gals too. And Thea Hale, I completely agree. Oh my gosh. Thea Hale is someone that I would also like to see do whatever character she wants to do, because everything they've put her in, even just when she had her little cowboy hat on the other day, she was like Fallon Henley's like little buddy. She's very malleable. So anything that any task, I could definitely see her rising to the occasion. It would be funny to see her. She has a very natural comedic timing that I don't think that you can teach someone. But every time she was doing the kind of fake Toxic Attraction dance, it was so awkward, but to be funny. Like it wasn't, I'm confident that she as a woman could do a sexier dance. It was like she was doing how Thea Hale would feel doing a Toxic Attraction dance. It's just this sort of nuanced character work from her that I think it's lost, because she has these big movements and she is sort of spunky and wild, but it's also a little bit calculated. Like it's a little more nuanced even. So she's someone who I'm excited to see grow as we move forward.
I do feel bad though, because I just complained about. I didn't actually talk about the match, and I actually do feel quite bad, because I do think every single woman that stepped foot in that ring did something that you could go, And there was one that really stood out for me, and thank God that Dana Brooke's not around anymore to hold her back. But that Kelani Jordan, I'm so happy that Shawn English mark for me in that match. Exactly. For me in that match, that I go, there's something in her that's different to what we've got everywhere. There's just something there as well, and I was really impressed with her. And Jacy Jayne needs to change. But anyway, Ed, over to you.
We do have a new name from the comment section: Noxic Attraction. Longtime fans of this show will know that I have a mostly hate relationship with Thea Hale.
Yes,
she has driven me nuts. She has driven me nuts more weeks than I can count.
Yeah.
However,
wasn't at one point you said that she does something in the back before she goes out?
Yeah. We're not talking about that anymore.
Oh God.
She's so energetic that there might be a certain activity that she does to enhance her experience, shall we say. Rob Van Dam and her, she go to Rob Van Dam to figure out what she needs. Not necessarily that product, but other things that Rob Van Dam would know how to find. Anyways, it was a joke. It didn't go over well. We didn't talk about it anymore. Anyways, I have grown to really adore the character of Thea Hale. She has grown leaps and bounds in the year and a half that I understand. Yes, Millie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was a one-time joke that we dropped real quick after it didn't land the first time I said
No, we know you dropped. I don't care.
Yeah, Astrid did nothing. That was solely on you on that one.
Anyways, back to praising Thea Hale. She has gotten so much better, and the character work, while still insane, has become, as Amanda said, nuanced. It's there's now a point to the energetic, frenetic energy that brings her into this character that she's developed. And the Jacy Jayne storyline works so well for her, coming off of the Andre Chase stuff with the towel. By the way, no towel to be seen after what happened on Tuesday. No towels to be seen this week at the pay-per-view to make sure that we didn't have a repeat of having to have Riley try to go diving into the ring to catch a towel that somebody might try to throw in the ring. We still need a finish to that part of Thea's story. Her and Andre still need to finish the whole throwing in the towel with Tiffany Stratton. But she has grown leaps and bounds. She has become more acceptable over the course of time. I won't say that I like watching her on screen, but I'll tolerate Thea Hale on my television screen. And I think Thea Hale would make a very interesting first North American women's champion.
Whoa. You've gone from me having a conversation with you saying that I know you will like Thea Hale, and you actually removed me from the screen to shut me up, right? When I said that. So now saying that you think she'll make a good North American champion.
I think she will make a fine first North American champion.
So, in essence, what you're saying was Mark is right and you were wrong.
No.
Yeah,
I think that the developed and nuanced character of Thea Hale would make a very fine first female North American champion.
Excuse us, ladies. I'm just going to prove a point here. But didn't I say that you were going to come around to it? So technically, I was right. Go on. I know you're going to say it. Go on.
After this match, we had Ava Rain backstage introducing us to, and again, I'll bring up the picture of it, as we've just talked about it, the North American Women's Championship, or the NXT Women's North American Championship. I will say that I know Mark said they just slap a white belt on and then call it a day. I think this looks substantially better than the Men's North American Championship because it doesn't have that god-awful reddish orange strap that I despise on the North American Championship.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
love the look of the clean white design with the reddish gold faceplate.
It's just gonna get dirty after a couple of months. That's the only thing. But what I like about it too is like calling it the North American Championship. Though I feel like we already see the North American Championship as like the workhorse title. We see it as like the matches are multi-man matches, are with the big men, and like so many things that the North American title has to it. That putting it on the Women's Championship, I feel like it carries over that legacy it already has with the little time it's been there to the women's division, and I feel like it's gonna be like kind of like that workhorse title for the girls now instead of just being just for the guys.
But wouldn't you want something? I'm going back to this argument.
No.
But wouldn't you want something that makes the women stand out? And that's
the white
my
does.
Point. Don't call it the North American. I really hate the word North American title.
It's just synergy. It's corporate synergy.
Not
corporate synergy.
Yes, but it's annoying because Dominic Mysterio held it and he wasn't from North America. And you've had Dragon Lee held it, wasn't from North America. So can you call it another name?
But we don't need the Princess of NXT Championship like we have in Stardom. We can just call it the North American Women's Championship.
Still wrong.
What would you want to call it? Like, do you have an idea?
No. I didn't really actually think.
See, you're giving problems are no solutions, though. So why?
All right. Do you know what? While you not talk, I'm going to think.
You're taking too long already.
I've been told not. I've been told not to ignore this comment, so I've put it up. It's there and it's gone. We also see at this point that Julia, Rossi, and William Regal are shown ringside before we head into the women's championship match. And Julia looks deeply touched at being given this spotlight. Yeah. And like, I don't know if she just wasn't expecting to be on camera. I don't know if she didn't know what to do, but she seemed genuinely touched of this opportunity, and I've been corrected. The Princess titles in Tokyo Joshi Pro, not Stardom.
Get it right.
And yeah, for having Julia. I can't wait to see Julia in NXT. I don't think it'll be soon as people want it to be or need it to be. I think this won't be till around SummerSlam. I think we'll be seeing this around summertime because remember, if Rossi is going to be starting a promotion in the near future, Julia is likely to be the headline of that promotion, at least for the first little while. So, and I think when they say that she has dates to fulfill, I think those are the dates that they're talking about, less so than talking about Stardom dates or dates with New Japan or things like that. I think it's more to the point of she may have dates to work with Rossi going forward. Also, I wouldn't mind her getting into the PC and finding out how many of these women can handle strong style. Because a lot of these girls are new, and strong style is going to be a new thing for them. And it's going to be something that's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, I was gonna
this really has one more Stardom show on April 12th.
Yeah, and I think that I think she said something about not her, but like in the promo and everything that happened. That she has a match in Noah, if I'm not mistaken. Is it in May? Maybe Andre, correct me if I'm wrong. So that's what made me think of like it's been going to be more than a month before she arrives in NXT officially. So yeah.
We also have Millie Rose jumping in and saying, "Why is she in WWE though? She deserves so much more."
Why? Wait, go back to that comment. So, why is she WWE? She does so much better. So, with the exposure, the merchandise, everything bigger in WWE compared to anything else, or you want her to wrestle in front of 60 people and go, "Hey, dub."
No. But let's clarify. There are at least 2,000 people in those stadiums.
Okay, sorry.
They may have tickets for 10, but they at least sell 2,000. You and Triple H need to get this right.
Okay.
Because if we're gonna criticize AEW like I do, I'm gonna at least criticize them properly. 2,000 people in those empty seats.
Perfect. So we got 2,000 instead of going to sellout arenas and doing it. By the way, I just thought of a name for the women's champion. NXT Women's Open Championship. Because it opens it up to everyone. And you can do an open challenge. And also, Wikipedia, there's quite a few women open championships around the world as well. So
it's still not unique. Because it's based off something someplace else.
But actually, there's quite a lot of them. But it's a start. And
so
it's still not copycat.
So it's very ununique. Good. All right. Moving on. We have Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. And we're going to go ahead and start with Astrid on this one. And we're going to go to me last because I'm not happy.
It's going to be from the brightest one to the most negative one. That's how we go.
I reckon I can rival Ed with the negative one on this one.
I know Amanda and I are probably going to be around the same wavelength, and you guys are going to be teaming on this one. So, no, I really enjoyed the match. My sister kept telling me that I was scaring her because I was cheering so loud for Roxy during this match. And I liked how when they introduced them, she was getting booed, but more towards the end of the match, she was getting cheered with the way the match was going to end. And I love that part of her, like, becoming a heel to the point that she's targeting the injury that Lyra has. It's like, that's such a heel move to do. And I feel like that cemented her even more and gave her more progress into her character. And I love seeing that throughout the matches. Like, she's not forgetting. She's stomping on it and doing submissions on it. It's like, I'm not forgetting. This is where I started. So I'm going to finish what I started already with it. But I enjoy this match so much. It's especially towards the ending, I was just like, at the edge of my seat, just thinking, how is this going to go? Because I kept thinking what I said last night, waiting for Roxanne to win it and maybe even have the kind of confrontation, like a face-off kind of with Julia, or something what I would have liked to see as a preview to the future. But either way, I love this match and I love how it ended. I'm glad it happened the way it happened. I know I would have gone either way with Lyra winning too. I would have been happy either way, but I'm just happier that Roxanne won this match. And to see what happens now, because if she's a heel, then who's going to be the next challenger?
And Amanda, what do you think about that match and who will be the next challenger?
Oh, that was a good match. I was excited for Roxanne to win. So I don't know. I don't have a negative thought. I really have no quite clue who the next challenger would be. I think It'll probably have to be, yeah, if Roxanne's going down this bad girl path, I guess sort of the next likely, I sort of see Fallon Henley as someone who's really on that, turning that cusp of like coming into their own as being a really baby face, like sort of, she's always helping out the girls in the locker room. She's sort of there to be a shoulder to cry on almost, but not too sure. Yeah, I was very excited. I think that she channels a very good mean girl energy. It's probably because she may very well be, and I don't know anyone, I have no scoops. I've literally never met a wrestler like in real life, not one. Like I've never been to a meet and greet. I've not met one. So I suppose like I was in that Wrestle Dream Media scrum, so I did ask a question. So like that, so I've met, but that's it. So I've never had, so I have no scoops, nothing at all, please. But I would venture to guess that sometimes the folks that are the meanest on screen or have the ability to be the most nasty are the nicest in real life. And I think that Roxanne Perez must be very, very nice, because the way that she is able to very seamlessly become quite nasty makes me think that she is having a lot of fun doing that, right? Like when you're a nice person in your normal life, being so mean can be kind of enjoyable, I think. And she seems like someone who's enjoying this character. So I hope she gets to stay nasty, because she's a fun bad girl, I think.
All right, Mark, you get to go ahead first on
Okay,
the
I'm
this
ready.
past Roxanne
Uh-oh.
trade, and then I'll go
I'm gonna
next.
hide.
So the match was okay. The pacing felt. It didn't feel like Lyra was the champion, and it didn't feel like she was doing anything championy. It felt like she got beaten up. She's just going to kick out a few times, and look, I'm still the fighting champion. No, I've had a problem with her since NXT UK, and I can't put my finger on what's wrong, but I don't connect with her at all. I don't see there's not relevance is not the right word to use. There doesn't seem to be that thing that makes me want to believe anything that she says. And but then that also then leads to Roxanne Perez. And I watched her promo that she did on Tuesday, and she's going, "Yeah, I'm going to beat you. I'm the mean girl. I've got black makeup now, and I'm evil." When I'm sitting there going, "No, when I want to see a heel, I want to see a bad person that means it. That is angry. That is ruthless." And I'm going to go back to John Cena, what he said, and whatever. Ruthless aggression. There's no ruthless aggression with her. It's like a baby lion trying to bite. It hurts a bit, but that's about it. There's no believability for me with Roxanne Perez. The match helped a little bit for me to do the believability with her being, she found a weakness, she targeted it, and she went after it. But it still fell flat. This was not a stand and deliver women's match that I was expecting. I expected a heck of a lot more from the champion. I think, to my opinion, I think Lyra Valkyria has found her level. I don't think she could go above what she's at right now. And I feel like this was a waste to give it to Roxanne Perez, because she's needed to go to the main roster now for about 6 months plus. And you're giving the woman a championship where you're basically going, you've seen Julia and Rossi in the crowd, and you've basically gone to everyone on the internet that you've gone, we're holding it for her. That is the only reason. We're holding it for her. And I think that it was just not it. And I was very disappointed in Lyra, and I need to see more Mina Roxanne. I need her to see more Mina, not the Cora Jade. She's trying to do the Cora Jade meme where you don't actually believe it, but they're saying words, but they don't believe it themselves. I need to see her slap someone in the face. I need someone like her to get really
Oh, she's been
angry.
slapping
She's been
people for
punching
about 6
people.
months.
Yeah.
For 6 months.
But what I mean is, I need to see it like I'm not the old. I want to see proper swing Stephanie McMahon type slap. I need to see the anger and all of that behind it, and it's just not there. She's just, it's like the Cora Jade Part 2.
I'll find you a compilation of the whole her punching the
Yeah.
entire locker room in the back. It's been a whole part of the story. No, so I famously on this show, I've called Lyra the Bird Lady, and I refuse to call her Lyra Valkyria for months, because that's all she was. That's all she had. That's all she was about to be. However, something changed in the Becky feud. They flipped a switch with Lyra in the Becky feud. She's grown so much on me. I really enjoy what she's been doing. The change of her finisher to that swinging neck breaker move that she does, instead of doing that little itty bitty tadpole splash that she was doing before, where she just kind of falls off the top rope and lands on somebody. But with Roxanne, I said it when I saw the promo when she was cutting up the pictures and she was tearing apart her debut vignette. Dishonest, disingenuous, unbelievable, and disgraceful. There's so little to believe about the Roxanne heel turn, because they're telling us to believe that she's turned her back on her heroes, that she's not the nice girl that she was. And with the exception of doing whatever it takes and punching people in the locker room, that's the only real change we've seen. In the ring, she's a heel. In the ring, she can get it. But on the microphone, all she is a disingenuous liar. Because of the fact where she's like, I never lost my championship. True, you didn't lose the title in a match. They took it away from you. But you were in the ladder match and you lost. You were in the triple threat match a couple of weeks later where Indy got hurt and you lost. On top of that, had Indy still been out of that match and not gotten to take the championship, they were still going to put it on Tiffany Stratton as opposed to you. You then were in the women's championship tournament where you lost again. So yes, while you didn't have a one-on-one opportunity for the championship, you had 3 opportunities to get that title back since last year, not to count the one where you got screwed out of the championship by Lola Vice cashing in a breakout contract. Kind of like how you screwed Mandy Rose by cashing in the Iron Survivor because she was getting fired later that evening. So they had to surprise Mandy Rose and cash in that. It's the disingenuous nature of the character makes me lean away from the Roxanne stuff. I don't believe it, because we know since she's been about 5 years old, standing outside a WWE event and being caught on Total Divas, that she adores this business, that she loves these girls, that it's not win at whatever cost. It's to do the right thing and be the right person. Those are the things she was taught. Those are the things that Booker T prided himself on teaching her throughout this entire journey.
But now she's here and being nice has gotten her nothing. So she's going to be a bitch.
But
that's what I think happened. That's like her mindset is like, I got my dream. I've worked really hard. I achieved something, but then I continue to just get like passed over. I understand the logic of her actually having lost the championship, but the last year of having other people get popped ahead of her in line to get back to it, I think created a motivation for why now. I mean, I get it. I feel like she is herself a sweet girl, so I can understand where the delivery comes across disingenuous. Like, I get it.
No, I just the way that that's like, yeah.
The character arc, though, like she has gotten passed over. She did have people boo her compared to Becky. I mean, I think that if you put yourself in this delusional heel mindset where whatever, like I am now, it's me against the world because I've gotten this dream and I found out it's garbage and I'm not going to play by the nice girl rules anymore. I mean, like I think they've they've plotted a footprint for it, but whether or not it lands in the execution, I think is totally different. So I fully understand what you're saying.
And like I said, I'm not saying this to be rude or mean to her.
Okay.
I think as a viewer watching somebody that we've learned and grown with for the past year, she's had those opportunities. Like, you know, what did being the nice girl get me? It got you the breakout contract. It won you the NXT Tag Team Championships. It won you the Iron Survivor. It won you the NXT Women's Championship. It got you a match with a legend, Miko Satomura. Like, being the nice girl got you everything that you wanted to check off your list in this business. You got it all. You got to hang out with CM Punk backstage. I'm sure AJ was there today. I guarantee she was back there to go ahead and give her a hug. And I guarantee that picture is going to be on Twitter within the next few hours. But there's just something not connecting. And it's more than just the delusional heel. Like, we've seen the delusional heel before. It's the delusional heel has to have that bit of truth to it. And I feel like they need to find that bit of truth for her, because the idea that, you know, she kept getting passed up. Well, where was she when Tiffany Stratton was champion after she got passed up right away, when Tiffany had no challengers for an entire month until they built to the Thea Hale story? Where was she then? When Becky Lynch came in out of nowhere and won the NXT Women's Championship, where was she to stand up to Becky Lynch? To be that heel, to be like, you don't get to come here. I'm the standard bearer in NXT. I may not have been the champion, but I'm the one that you have to run through. But instead, they went with Lyra. As Lyra said the other week on the Supernova sessions, there was a litany list of times where she should have been doing this in a way she could have done it, and she chose not to. And that's where I think the character falls down a bit on it. But I'm excited to see, now that she is our champion, and this is what we've got, where does it go from here? Where's that nugget of truth that brings her to that next level? Like I said, I say disingenuous, dishonest, all of those words, because they're buzzwords to get people to hear something. But at the end, Roxanne is a competitor like no other. Her matches are top shelf, like this one was. This was a fantastically laid out match where it wasn't laid out to showcase the champion. It was laid out to showcase the viciousness of the challenger.
Yeah.
This match was not a showcase match for the championship or the champion. It was to showcase who is going to be our new champion going forward and what she's going to be about. And there's something good about that. NXT knew where they were headed and what they were doing. I think she needs to talk to two people. She needs to talk to AJ. She needs to talk to Bayley. She needs to learn how to go from babyface to heel. And those two are the ones who can tell you how to get it done. Those two are readily available this weekend. She needs to have some conversations this week with those two young ladies, because those two are going to be the ones that get her to that next level.
I agree with you, and I can see both parts of what you're both saying, and I agree with what both of you have said on both parts of her. But NXT has a problem right now of female heels sounding like baby faces, or it's not believable. And that the only one we've had in the past few years that has stood out has gone straight to the main roster, and that's Tiffany Stratton. She come in, work the heel, and she can play babyface as well at the same time if she had to, and go straight up there. With Roxanne Perez, and it was Cora Jade as well. There's a thing with NXT with heels that we see the story when they first come in of, I've been wanting to do this all my life. Look at all this, the Bayley version of what they used to do, the hugger and all that type of thing. And then when they go heel, it's so dramatic that way that there's no reason for it, and that person doesn't sound believable. Now, I love Roxanne Perez, and I think in ring she's tremendous, and she's got such a bright future. I just need that switch. For me personally, I'm not saying for everyone. For me personally, I need a switch for her to go on where it's something that I go, that's what we need. That's the Tiffany Stratton type thing. That's the way that we need it. You've got CM Punk hanging around doing nothing. probably one of the greatest talkers in the world. You may like him, you may not. But he can go from babyface to heel very easily with the way he cuts promos. Sit with him. Sit with anyone and listen to what they're saying and trying to adapt. Cora Jade has that problem and it annoys me. She's got all the talent in the world, but when she talks, it just sounds like that she does not believe what she's saying. Now, I've stopped now.
And I was
And by
gonna
the
say
way,
with
yeah.
Cora too, the moment I didn't believe her is that she would go and be this mean girl and laugh at the girls. But I was like, you have nothing to back it up with. Why you been only tag team champion? And it was only what 2 weeks maybe. That's it. So I was like, if you come and ha ha laugh at me, I'll be like, you haven't done anything. What makes you think you're better than me? You haven't done anything because every time you kind of come back, you get injured and you leave. So it's like. We haven't really had her for too long for her to be like, oh, I'm better than you. So I feel like I believe it even less from her than I do from Roxanne. Because if Roxanne laughs at me and tells me, oh, I'm better than you, I will believe because I'll be like, yeah, you're Iron Survivor, tag team champion, women's champion, everything. But with Cora, I feel like it was a little bit less. And that's the aspect that I feel like with Cora, it felt even less like believable in that aspect because she doesn't have anything to back it up with. All she can be is like, oh, I'm gonna be the mean girl, whatever. And even the mean girl aspect, especially when she came on to do it, there was so many people kind of doing mean girl at the same time because we had Tiffany, we had Toxic that had kind of just like started like this bending around that moment. So we had a lot that mean girl character already going on. So it's like I feel like we didn't need it at that time. And she could have done something different, which I would have liked to see from Cora, especially because I'm like, I don't believe you. She's like, you haven't done anything for me to believe you. So that's the thing with her that I would like to see a different kind of heel from Cora than just a mean girl kind of attitude. Because I feel like that's the way I could see how if she's good at being a heel or not. Because right now I still don't believe her. And even she came back right now with Roxanne, I still believe Roxanne more than her because of the resumes they have.
But I don't want this to come across to everyone watching that I'm shitting on the women's division. I think the reason why I say this is NXT have such an amazing job with the amount of women they put on TV that for me it's wanting to push it to another level and push them to not that they're going to listen to a fat old English bloke over here, but what it's for me personally, when I watch a wrestling show, I want to see you look at the 4 horsewomen, okay? And you look at all of them, when they've all been heels, they're all different in the way that they do it, right? And you look at how they're done. I have no time for Sasha Banks whatsoever. But when she's in the ring as a heel, she's on another level. On another level. Charlotte Flair, microphone, when she's a babyface and heel, works perfectly. With her, I see something in her that I want her to be the next Rhea Ripley, the next Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, those type of people. But there's that one thing that for me that I want. Unless there's another woman that out there that can come into the promo class that can help these women, give them as much help as they possibly can, because I feel like this women's industry in WWE with the depth that they've got. And with the people that are watching, and my daughter now watches, and she's 7, and she watches just the women, and I want her to see different things from different people, not 2 people trying to play the same character, but one sounds a little bit more believable than the other. But that's my opinion. Also, I found another name for the women's title: NXT Revolution Championship. Carry on.
I think the thing that we're talking about here and why it's great to sit and to have these discussions is we're critiquing character work.
Yes.
And we're not critiquing in-ring work. We're not critiquing looks. We're talking about how the character feels and how the character looks. We're treating these characters as if they are any other character on the show, as opposed to singling out that these are women and we're downplaying the women. We're saying that there's more to be had. There's better work to be done because these women have the ability to get to higher heights. These women have the ability to do what we think they need to do. And it's not tearing them down. It's going, these are the things that we find fault with. Please do better because you can do better. We've seen it and we know that you're capable of it.
And there's so many women there as well that I look at and I go, you've got it. You've got that. If you tweak that, you've got this. And it just feels like that they're like, it's like NXT in general, right? NXT's stuck in my opinion. NXT's stuck in with that performance center and they need to leave it. They need to go out. They need to take what they're doing on the road to different venues. I'm not saying go to
plans. There are plans to start touring NXT in 2024. There are, from what I've heard, there are plans in place to potentially start touring NXT as a touring brand like Raw and SmackDown going forward.
That will take NXT to the next level where they need to get to. And it will, because they need to get out of their comfort zone.
They need to book careful arenas when they do this, because they can't book the Wells Fargo Center every week.
No. They
need to be smart and book small arenas to fill small arenas, like what Ring of Honor used to do.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you're going to go and sell the Barclays out every single time like Raw does, or do stuff like that. Find small niche arenas in certain areas that have a high watch rate of NXT. Take it to them. Get them on the road, because not only will that help the NXT talent for when they go from NXT to Raw and SmackDown, it's getting them out of that comfort zone, because basically they're in their house. That's their home, right? And that's where they stay. That's where they go. And then all of a sudden, you're now going around the world. It's unfeasible for some of those NXT talents to do it. And I just feel like the women have got it. They've got it. They're nearly there. They're so close to it that I want them to do it. I want my daughter to grow up in the world where the women are doing better than the men, unless you're Tribal Chief or The Rock is around. But apart from that, then they're doing it. But that's what I want. That's what I would like. I would like to see my daughter sits down, watches TV. I'm watching Raw, and you've got segment men, women, men, women, men, women. That type of thing, instead of men, women, men. That type of thing. And they've got it. Just please, Shawn, do something. Please do something. Thank you. Anyway, carry on.
Amanda, we've been talking around you a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Do you have any more thoughts on this as we get ready to move on?
Okay. You know what's funny is that because I'm usually writing news, I don't actually always watch the full breadth of the television experience. Like, I'm pulling out what is the news pieces. And so I know that I've written article after article about Roxanne turning heel. But when I feel like, oh no, she's definitely a heel, she's doing great, when I have to funnel back to how do I know what I know, or why do I feel the way that I feel, it's actually very interesting, because I can see both sides of that perspective, because she's a sweet girl, and it comes across, and there is a believability gap there, I think, that I hadn't quite identified until this conversation. So that'll be interesting to see moving forward, because I was definitely like, oh yeah, she's just mad, she's mean. Like, you just take it at face value, just move forward. But yeah, there's definitely some malleability there of how to make that. I think she needs to betray someone, but she doesn't really have any friends. But that's usually
the key here is to betray Booker.
Yes.
Do something to Booker.
Actually, yeah. Because that's something that would fully cement, like, this is someone who has turned to the dark side. Because I think that's a lot of the time. I didn't buy Mello as a bad guy for a minute of life. Like, I just I'm like, oh, he's so, like, in my mind, I was going back and forth with his issues with Trick. Like, oh, it's him. It wasn't him. It's him. But he's definitely someone that betrayal cements it. You go, oh, okay, you're a bad person. So if she betrays Booker, I think we could really, That's
and the way Booker was standing afterwards, he gave her that standing ovation. He's clapping his hand, and they show it on camera. To have her tear him down on Tuesday night, to have a backstage segment where she goes, "I've learned all I need. I don't need you anymore." To have, because you can't physically have her betray Booker.
Right.
Like, one, you don't really want to do that to Booker, and two, it's not going to be believable for little itty bitty Roxanne to do a whole lot to big Booker T.
Yeah.
But you can break this man's heart.
Yes.
Which I think will do more to him and more for her. Like you said, if that betrayal happens, that cements the heel turn. And I think that's the next angle. And I think it was set up here with Booker T being shown standing on his feet, clapping for her, that if they want to, there's the thing. And trust me, if anybody's going to be able to turn a best friend or a mentor against somebody, trust me, Shawn Michaels has the litany list of betrayals of everybody he's ever known.
It's true.
So he'll be able to do it. We move on to Tony D'Angelo and the family, except not. Hold on, where is it? This not this D'Angelo family. Going ahead and taking on Ilja Dragunov. We're gonna go ahead. We've talked a lot. We're gonna go ahead and let Amanda talk again for a little bit here. Talk to us about the NXT Championship match between Tony D'Angelo and Ilja Dragunov.
Oh my god, I love Tony D'Angelo. I did just want him to win because I love their faction so much. I do think though, I'm of the mind where I'm always on the hunt for this time of year of who's kind of out the door. And I did not necessarily expect to see Ilja retain only because I sort of thought that he was main roster bound sooner rather than later. It does actually make a lot more sense to have the Trick Ilja story resolved. Like I would like to see Trick beat Ilja to win the championship. So it actually makes more sense to continue with this reign. But Tony D'Angelo is one of those that like has been consistently great for years. And I don't know what happens for him next because I do think that he's demonstrated over time that they can put him in these big match spots and that things go well and that he plays this believable character and that the fans are kind of bought into it all. But if you don't, I don't know what happens with him now, you know? I would just like to maybe if the whole family got plunked to the main roster, I would be completely fine with it.
Can they leave Adriana Rizzo somewhere? Maybe in the river that he throws all the other people?
No, she gets to go. Somebody has to talk to her about why she talks like that. Because I don't.
Okay, so it's not just me and Astrid that noticed that. This is
I don't think that's her normal
accent.
voice. I don't think that's her voice. I don't know that. Like, I don't think that's her voice, and I think that they've tried. I think doing an accent's really hard, and I would never be able to do it. So I can't imagine what that would be like on television trying to do it. But I don't know. Do you? What?
Astrid.
He's trying to get me to
be perfect English accent. By the way, it's perfect.
All right. We're moving on from that point.
I can't do an English accent. I'll get fully canceled. Like I'll get fired if I'm mocking the Russell talk. I can never even pretend to do one. But I also couldn't pretend to do a New Jersey accent very well either. So that poor gal. I don't think that's her normal voice. But I think they're fun. I think they are fun with a girl. So I don't know if it must be like I don't know if it needs to be I want to hear it. Is it good?
It's only one word that I can do. It's not even a conversation.
Yeah, it's not even an accent. It's just saying one word.
What was the word? I forgot now. What?
Rubbish.
Yeah,
Rubbish.
there you go. It's rubbish. I
There
tried.
It's good.
So
It's good.
in talking about Tony D'Angelo as champion, me and Astrid had this light dawns on Marblehead moment during Tuesday's NXT, where we were talking about what happens if Tony D'Angelo wins the championship and where does it go. My question is, name to me the top 3 baby faces on the NXT brand. Don't include Ilja Dragunov because if we think he's main roster bound, so it's Trick Williams and who?
Over Femi.
But Femi's not a baby face. Plus, he's already a champion.
In my eyes, he is.
I agree. That's on the run sheet for NXT.
We're looking for potential challengers for if Tony was champion. Oba cannot be on the list. Take him out.
Yeah, like Von Wagner and Jensen. Like, there's no top. That's the thing. Tony can't win this title because there's no developed top level baby faces on this roster, with the exception of Trick Williams. So
That's true.
So it has to be babyface taking the title off of, because you have more top level heels. Dijak. Luke Gallows. No. You have Dijak, you have Briggs, because I would put Briggs in the heel category. I don't think he's a babyface. I think he's a heel. So you have guys like Dijak, you have guys like him. I guess you could say Joe Gacy's a top level babyface, but he's not ready to win the world championship. I think there's a litany list of guys that you could throw in there for the world championship on the heel side to take on a Trick Williams or to continue taking on an Ilja Dragunov. There are still names to face him. But I think that's where the unfortunate part about this story is that it was a story told quickly because they decided not to pull the trigger on putting the championship into the Melo versus Trick feud. I think what they should have done is at the last show, they should have put the title on Trick in the main event and then had Melo turn on him and be like, I want this. I don't care about anything about you. All I care about is this, and look down at him, especially after they lost the tag match because Melo put himself in harm's way to save Trick for the main event. I think that would have continued an even better telling of their story. And I think that you could have told this Ilja versus Trick story, Ilja versus Tony story in a much better way further down the card. But with the championship on it, they didn't have enough time to fully develop a story. And I never really felt like Tony could win. And that's where this match kind of let me down. Otherwise, the match as a match in and of itself was pretty all right. The idea that Tony won't use the brass knuckles, the elevation of Stacks, where I even messaged Asher during the match, and I'm like, is this match all about elevating Stacks to take the family away from Tony D'Angelo? To take Tony D'Angelo, give him the thumbs down, and bring Luca Crusifino and Adriana Rizzo with him. And to have the underboss become the boss. And to turn Tony D'Angelo into the babyface that we can eventually have as a top-level babyface. Because I didn't know what to do. But that super H-bomb from the top rope is just a work of art. And as Shea Sawyer said, there are many wonderful pins in the world of professional wrestling, and Ilja Dragunov after an H-bomb is absolutely one of them. The way he just lays on top of his opponent. Just however he lands is how he lays on you. And that's what it is. He's up there with the Rhea Ripleys of the world when it comes to pinfalls. Asher, your thoughts on the main event? Sorry, not the main event. The world championship match here.
The almost main event. No, I really enjoyed the match. The only thing that I pointed out to you is that during commentary when the match was starting, they kept saying, how is Tony going to be like a challenge towards Ilja, making it seem like it was the hardest challenge that Ilja would have in his title reign. And I was like, what about Carmelo though? Carmelo to me, it's like a hard hitter compared to like Tony. It looks like a bigger threat to me than Tony is. It's like I feel like in that sense is like kind of dismissing that in a way, but the match in itself, I really enjoyed it. I like how you said that storyline of Stacks coming in and giving Tony the knuckles, and Tony thinks about it but doesn't do it. And even the moments of like when he's getting pinned, you see the family's like kind of near him and staring at him, but they don't actually help him or anything like that. And I thought that was super interesting, the way that he could have used the knuckles as a way out, but he decided not to, thinking that he could actually win over Ilja by himself. So I thought that part in itself was really interesting to see. And I feel like Amanda was saying, it's like Tony, they put him in the spot and he rose to the occasion. He did very well in this match with Ilja. And there was so many moments, like especially towards the beginning, they're like, dang, he really came out to like, to against Ilja in this aspect, because it's stand on the liver. You kind of go all out for this WrestleMania week, and you can see it not only with Tony, but like I feel like the whole roster. You can kind of see how they have that energy of like, we're definitely gonna show ourselves out this weekend to all the people that are here. But either way, I don't want to say torn, but it was more like, it would be interesting if Tony won, but I had a feeling that Dragunov was going to retain it, though. So it's like, once I saw it, I was like, okay, I knew that was going to happen. And like Ed was saying, I keep going to like, I would like Trick to go against Ilja, finish that, that little bit between them, and have Trick win over Ilja at the end, and have Trick as champion soon. Mark, I think he's telling you. He's muted, but he's calling you out.
Sorry, Mark, yes.
So this was the part of when I began the show and I said that I don't think Stand and Deliver delivered. That at no point did I see Tony Tony D'Angelo does not deserve to be anywhere near the World Championship at this precise moment. He's not believable. He's not someone I look at and go, he would be a great world champion, because he's a great character. His character is great, but the amount of injury that man has, he can't hold on to a title longer than 3 months. And so for me, and with Stand and Deliver, this is meant to be NXT's WrestleMania. If you haven't got, as you said, people that are believable enough to try and beat Ilja Dragunov, then there are people that are not on the WrestleMania card that could come down and give a match to Ilja Dragunov. You've got Ludwig Kaiser, who could come in and put on an absolute spellbinding match. Ricochet, exactly. You've got so many people that were on that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Bronson Reed. Instead of him being in that Battle Royal that means nothing, you could put him into this type of match. And Tony D'Angelo, not at 1 second did I see when Tony D'Angelo come out, did I think that there was a shot in hell that Ilja Dragunov is going to lose. I can't. NXT are in a problem now with Dragunov as their champion, because you need someone that can absolutely take a beating, and I mean full-on fight. You can't have Trick Williams go back there again because he lost fair and square for a little while. You can't have that straight away because he lost it. You need someone to come in. This is why the NXT after Mania is going to be important for NXT to find out who that challenger could be. Because there is no one believable, apart from Femi, who is now my love. Apart from him, you've got Dijak. You can't go back there again. You've done that too many times. You can't go back there again. And there's no one else. Briggs, he can take the beating, but he's not going to be able to give the beating enough to take Dragunov down. And that's the problem NXT have got. And I think that's why they've pigeonholed excuse me. They've pigeonholed themselves in a section where they're stuck. And they need to find a way of getting out of that. And they need to do it quickly, in my opinion. Great match, but there was just no way that he was going to win it.
And I think that there's a way we can make Tony D'Angelo feel important again. But he needed to go through a lot more people than win one random match with Carmelo Hayes to get to the biggest event of the year. Like, it just...
It's true.
There was just... I believe in Tony D'Angelo as a character. I believe in the ability to make him a world championship contender to the point where he could defeat Ilja Dragunov. But not this story in this way. We move on. We get Javon Evans sitting down in front of a camera, and he goes ahead and they show some highlight reels, and he tells us that he's going to be on NXT this Tuesday, making his official NXT in-ring debut. So that'll be excited. For those that haven't seen him, he was... Oh, God. I forgot his real name now. What was his indie name?
Lucky Ali.
That's okay. That's what it was. I'm like, it's not Broken Finley. It's the other one.
Yeah.
Lucky Ali on the indies. He's been on Level Up for the past 3 or 4 weeks. I know on the Florida loop, he's been working Carmelo Hayes. Even though Hayes says, I don't work that far down the card, they moved Lucky Ali all the way up to the top of the card to work with Carmelo Hayes at the top, which I thought was funny. We then get the announced attendance from Metaphor, all dressed up properly now that they're in front of people, of 16,545. Now, I don't believe it's exactly that, but it's pretty close. I really think it's pretty close because I pulled this up and yesterday.
Yeah, but you've got to do the AEW style. That's how they distribute it.
No. This was, as of last night, this was the seating chart of available tickets left for the show. Going into the prediction show last night at 9:00. So they clearly sold most of those tickets. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and assume that 16,000 is the exact number.
Yeah. I was going to say it's probably close to 14 than 16, but.
And that's what I thought too. I would have said 13 and a half to 14 is probably where I would have put it. Either way, it was a fantastic crowd who was into everything all night.
Can I just go back to one question that's just been asked that I need to?
Sure.
This one. No. Not at all. Ilja Dragunov is the perfect person to defeat the Ring General.
I
There's
agree.
no one else. There's no one else on the WWE. I'm the massive.
Chad Gable. Chad
No.
Gable.
No.
Chad Gable.
No.
Chad Gable.
No. Thank
Chad
you. No. So I'm a massive Ring General fan, and I've watched him since when I first met him in Progress, and I watched him there. And to see him to get to where he is now, Ilja Dragunov's match with Gunther or Walter, however it was during that time, if they do this correct and they get Ilja Dragunov versus Gunther at SummerSlam, it will be the greatest SummerSlam match that's ever happened. And I will do that as quickly as possible because Gunther has defeated everybody and he needs that world title because then he can then defeat Roman Reigns and Hulk Hogan and just hold it forever.
I think that's the match that they do at Money in the Bank, to be honest with you. I think that's the match that you use to sell Toronto.
Do you know what? I also thought this as well. I think that they'll sell the tickets for Gunther versus Ilja Dragunov for the Berlin show in August.
Yep. I think that's your main event for the Berlin show.
I think perfect time. Both of them made their names in Germany. So, and I think that would be...
That's not a bad idea. Like we threw it out there the last minute, Otis. But Otis is potential for a world championship run.
Just give our truth it. Hey, me and Bobby agree on something. Carry on.
We also do have Tatum and Lyra backstage. Tatum tries to apologize. Lyra doesn't want to hear anything about it. And she brushes her off and walks away. She's very angry, as she should be.
I like how none of us mentioned Tatum being involved in the match.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't do anything. Like
I know, but she showed up, though. It's like I was going to mention it and I forgot. And then going down my notes, I went Lyra and Tatum. And I was like, shoot, I forgot about Tatum earlier.
Good for her. She left sitting next to Big Body Hobby so he could play on Twitch while she went to Philly just to go ahead and walk around outside the ring. We get to our main event. I love Lyra. I think Lyra's great.
What? You say you love Lyra?
I love her a whole lot more than I love Roxanne right now. Anyways, Killmonger himself then comes to the ring with the necklace and everything. He even wore it during the match. He had the actual Killmonger necklace on during the match, which was... And again, it gives a great shout out. I don't know if he saw it or if this was the plan all along, but earlier this week, Victor Taylor Perry had mentioned that he sees Carmelo Hayes as Killmonger and Trick Williams as Black Panther T'Challa. And that was the storyline that they played out here in this match.
I am so happy you said that. I have been racking my brain since he walked out to work out what he was trying to do. I said it, and now I see it. Thank you. Carry on.
It was Killmonger. However, Andre has a... And normally I would take offense to this, but I don't necessarily disagree. The main event didn't... The storyline was better than the match that we got. And I didn't hate the match. I thought the match was fine. But it felt like the match was missing another 5 minutes. There's that next level that this match needed to go. This match needed a stipulation. It needed the no-holds-barred stipulation. They had poor zombie referee got absolutely murdered in this match.
Not once, but twice.
Twice.
Yeah, he got absolutely murdered in this match. But they did the right thing. They put Trick Williams over clean, over Carmelo, which is what you needed to do. Carmelo has tweeted out about half an hour ago, that's all it is. And it's just a picture of him on the ropes in his entrance attire. And that's all it's going to be for him in NXT because I don't think we see him again. I think he's headed to SmackDown this Friday night. He might be headed to Raw on Monday. But I was a little let down. I thought there was another gear that these guys could go. I thought there was a little bit more physicality that they could bring in. I thought Melo and Trick were going to leave it all in the ring, and they kind of didn't. I don't know if somebody got hurt. I don't know if an audible was called. If somebody went long, but it just felt like something was missing. The show ended about 10 of, and it was just weird that there was an extra 10 minutes that you figured they would have spent and they didn't. Yeah, it wasn't a letdown, but it wasn't exactly what I was hoping it was going to be. But I'm excited for what Melo does next. I'm excited for what Trick does next. I just wish that this had a little bit more to it. However, I can't not talk about, and I tweeted it out and I have to go grab it. Give me 2 seconds. Because we've had him on our post show before and we've had talks about it, but hearing and seeing the wrestling club enjoying wrestling live is one of my great joys. And so, welcome to the last couple seconds of this match with the wrestling club. There's just something special about the wrestling club. No matter what this match did or what the match didn't do, that right there is what it's all about. Maybe it didn't hit the heights that the four of us might have wanted, but for those kids, for the representation of two African-American men in the main event of the biggest show on the NXT card, that is special. Astrid, we've utilized your representation for the last year when it comes to the Puerto Rico show, when it comes to women's representation in media, when it comes to representation as a whole. You and Amanda both, I want you girls to both talk about the representation in different forms and fashion. And like I said, the joy of seeing something like this on screen.
It has really no words to it, because even when Vic said it, just felt so surreal to think, like I mentioned it during the preview too, just thinking of like, it feels like there's so little history to be made, and there's moments like this and you're like, oh, this is something that hasn't been done before, and I'm glad it happened. And for it to happen to people like Trick and Carmelo, I'm just glad it was them, if anything, because they, like you said, the match might not have been exactly what we expected it to be, because I had moments of like, I was hoping we would see more aggression from both of them and like kind of more anger towards each other, because they used to be friends and now they're enemies. But just thinking of like those kids watching two black men main eventing PLE and seeing the joy they have, or just being able to see it there live, there's no words for that. There really isn't. And just like I know that that's how I felt when I went to WrestleMania, seeing Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte main eventing. I had tears in my eyes. I really did. And just like, even if the match was not exactly what I expected it to be, but to have the woman main eventing of WrestleMania is something that you don't get to see all the time. It's like, obviously, as we have seen, it's only happened twice now so far. So whenever you get an opportunity to witness something like this in person, it's like you get to enjoy it and enjoy those moments that you don't get to see often. So to see this happen to both of them, I feel like it's just amazing. And not only this match, but like thinking of the representation, but even when Roxanne won, those are the moments that I was teary-eyed during this whole PLE. I really did. And just amazing to see the representation. And I like how with Triple H, we get to see this more to the forefront than we did before. And we don't see it like something stereotypical. We see it getting highlighted more often. And I really enjoy that about this era between Triple H and Shawn Michaels being in charge here. Amanda, even though he's muted.
Amanda.
Oh, that was such a good. It also, I thought there might be. I for some reason was thinking like more violent shenanigans. Like I thought we might see like weapons and things because of the way that the betrayal had gone, and sort of that level of emotion between them. But the wrestling club is so sweet. Every time they have anything good happen for them or with them, I get so excited. It's just something that is really a magical thing to be a part of. So it's very cool that they get to be there and live and in person and checking all these things out.
Mark, or Amanda, any thoughts on the match itself other than the wrestling club being there and the greatness that was that?
It was a good one. I mean, Yeah, it was definitely not exactly what I expected, but they certainly put on a show, and I'm excited to see everything that Carmelo does on the main roster because I think that he has like the sky's the limit for him. He really is so talented.
Yeah. And Mark, we'll round out our thoughts with you.
Yeah, no, this was the other part of it not delivering. This was meant to be the Tommaso Ciampa Johnny Gargano ending.
Mm.
This was meant to be the finale of finales, and it just didn't. When he hit it and he pinned 3, I was sat here and I went, "Oh, that it." I really was getting myself comfortable. The match was going. They were getting the groove going. It felt like this was gonna be something special with the way that it was going, and then it just didn't. And I just feel that these two should have. I don't know what happened. I don't know if something's happened, but it didn't feel like the ending to a story that needed that ending. It's like, and I feel disappointed for the people in attendance to it. This was, as you said, the first time 2 African American men headlined NXT, and it's just gonna have. And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer about it, and I don't want to come across as me being the grumpy one on here. I'd normally leave that to Ed, but I didn't want to try and do that. But it didn't. It shouldn't have that ending to the story that was built, and it shouldn't have with the representation that it had. The way that it ended, that should have been match of the year. That should have been feud of the year. Where now you've had your 10-minute match, and now one of them's going to go to the main roster, and the other one can't go after the world championship yet because he already lost to it, and you can't give him that because there's no believability behind it. Because if Trick Williams had a 20-minute, half an hour plus match where Carmelo Hayes was just beating him down, smacking him, doing things, had a no holds barred match, was throwing him through tables, ladders went through them. You had chairs, kendo sticks, barbed wire, all that type of rubbish that you could throw into it. To really make this the end of a blood feud, now there's no believability for Trick Williams because he had a 10-minute match, hit one finisher, and it was done. And the referee got more beat up than anyone else. Poor sod. So for me, I feel bad for the talent and for everything else. But it doesn't help. That does not help Trick Williams moving forward, in my opinion. He's got the crowd going, and I'm happy for him. He's doing it. But there's no believability now that he can go after Ilya Dragunov. And that is the worry I have now. Carmelo Hayes is going to go off, and he'll probably go after the US title or the Intercontinental Championship. Get him in the ring with Gunther. He hasn't got a win, but those two can put on an absolute banger of a match, which will make a statement for Carmelo Hayes. But I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed for like all around, and Stand and Deliver to me has always been the show that you pick matches from Stand and Deliver, and you go, that's going to beat some of those matches on WrestleMania. This was the match that was that. This was the match that you could put in the bracket. This could challenge any match that's going to happen at WrestleMania. And to me, it didn't deliver, in my opinion.
Yeah, we still have the triple threat with Femi, Josh Briggs, and Dijak.
But it's not. Yeah.
Overall thoughts, last thoughts, and then we're going to go ahead and get to talking about all the wonderful things that all of us do and what we've got coming up. Overall grades on NXT Stand and Deliver as a whole. We'll start with a wonderful guest, Amanda. You first.
Oh, I liked it. B plus.
All right, there we go. Mark?
I think I would agree with that. I think it would be a B, a normal B for me. I'm always very, very positive. I always can find the positive in everything. But those two matches at the end and Roxanne, the way that I need her to be a little bit, well, not Roxanne, Lyra in general. That B. I'm going to go with that. Let's do numbers.
Astrid?
I would say probably like an A- because I really liked it from top to bottom, and I like the energy from the crowd, how they kept getting hooked. It's just a part of like thinking of the ending between Carmelo and Trick. I feel like I expected a little bit more, like not only the aggression, but I expected a little bit more for the ending than just the way it happened with just the knee, and that was it. So I thought really Carmelo was gonna kick out and have a little bit longer match in that aspect. So I would say A- because of that.
I have to agree with the ladies. It's somewhere between a B plus and an A-. It's in that 89, 90, 91 range. It's on that little bit of Barry Monkey, B out of 7, because of course Barry can't do anything right. But no, like I thought it was a really good show overall. I thought all the matches for the most part delivered. While I wasn't thrilled with the result of the women's match, I thought the match itself was really well done and delivered, especially as a showcase for the new champion Roxanne and the way that they want to portray her going forward. Like I said, the main event kind of just, for the feud they had, it kind of under-delivered to what I had. But then again, that's expectations versus reality. In reality, it's probably a really good match, but my expectation was of so much more. Thank you both for jumping on here and joining us. We're going to go ahead and give you the big screen so you can go ahead and talk about all the wonderful things. And since Amanda's ticker's already on here, we're going to go ahead and let her start. So Amanda, tell everybody where they can find you, what things you do, and how they can support you.
I'm pretty sure there's like a Wi-Fi mutiny going on out there with like some kind of Disney Plus situation. So I don't know if my camera's working, but I write news for Wrestle Talk just about every day of the week. So if there's a live show going on and you need to get caught up, head over to WrestleTalk.com and you might see something I wrote. And then Monday nights after Raw, I co-host Monday Night Besties with DC Hendricks over on Body Slam's YouTube channel. And it's been a lot of fun. So that's where you can find me. I'm always on that little Twitter machine though, so you can peep me there too if you want to hear some of the world's most obscure wrestling thoughts. I don't think that I am looking at the same show a lot of other people are looking at, but you know, that's okay. There's always space for different voices. So if you want to talk about the hair, the makeup, the clothes, that's usually where I have the biggest opinions.
All right. Well, speaking of that, before we go away, hold on. Now that you've said the clothes, Astrid and I had a discussion, and she thinks to think I'm crazy here. I want you to talk about whether or not Kelani's really pulling off this look, because I say no, Astrid says yes. Wally Mania, is that a look for Kelani?
Yes,
really?
Absolutely, yes. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with that look.
I am the least
What do you
fashionable
think is
person.
wrong with that look?
I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know.
I am
don't
the
feel
least
it.
fashionable
I don't
person
feel
you
it.
will ever meet in your existence.
No,
of
that's
human
me.
Being.
Apparently.
No.
Apparently
I reckon
that's
I
me.
can rival with you, and even I think that's a good look.
I think Mello looks great. I think Mello looks great in this picture.
Mello looks overdressed for Wallmania or whatever. She looks casual. He looks overdressed.
All right. I'm wrong.
There you go.
I
I'm
thought I
wrong.
would be. I just wanted to go ahead. Also, remember that you can go ahead if you want to support Amanda and her work personally. You can go ahead and go to ko-fi.com/Amanda Savage to go ahead and support her personally right there. Mark, what about you, buddy? What do you got going on?
Oh, what don't I have? So I have 3 YouTube channels. I've got Mark Talks Wrestling, where I'm doing a WWE 2K24. I've stopped doing predictions and reviews because I'm terrible at them and I'm not up in time. So I'm sort of doing the WWE 2K24. We're currently doing My Rise Unleashed, which is the women's side. Absolutely loving the storyline, what they've got going on over there. I've got Mark Talks Gaming, where we've just finished it. We've done this year's Spider-Man 2. We've just finished Hogwarts. Oh, actually, I haven't yet. This week will be the ending of Hogwarts Legacy, leading into another game. And I've also got Mark Talks Football, where I do Football Manager and Reading Football Club news. Where's the flag there? The Royals. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of them. I'm on all of them. But I saw this, and I also followed as well, by the way, today as well. So perfect. Anyway, let's
I
do
also
it.
realized I wasn't following, so I just followed about 20 seconds ago when I was doing it because I realized apparently I wasn't following either. So that's three new followers on the show.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, for the rest of us, when Mark says he talks football, what he means is he's talking soccer.
Football.
Soccer.
Football.
Astrid, where can the good people see you the rest of this week? I know you don't like the big screen, so I won't give it to you.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, he learned. You can find us a few minutes, I guess in a few minutes, doing the night one preview and then later on the night one post show. And after that, I'm done for the weekend. Sorry, Ed, I'm going to rub it in your face every single time. Aside from that, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, Threads and Instagrams, Astrid Pizarro 20. And kind of like Amanda, you can go on Body Slam's YouTube channel and find Astrid Ass. A new episode will be coming out soon if I can get it done this weekend, even though Mania is coming as well. But yeah, the other one with Zeta Steele's already there, so I would appreciate if you guys would watch it if you haven't yet. The next one will be with Emily J. Pro, so that was coming out soon as well. But yeah, that's all I got at least this week.
And of course, for me, you can find me on Twitter at EdFries12584. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002. That's where I play most of my gaming content. I normally simulcast everything that I'm doing with our local establishment there. But for WrestleMania week, we are primarily focusing on the our local establishment platforms. All of our content can be seen on our YouTube channel, on our Twitch page, and on our Twitter as well, where we simulcasting all of those to all of those platforms. And you can find all of those platforms right here underneath the bottom screen. While that's flashing, I'm going to go ahead and show you what we've got coming up for the rest of the week because, boy, is there still a lot to come this weekend. So we're just finishing up the Stand and Deliver post show with our wonderful guests. Remember that, like Ashton says, we're going to take a short break so that me and Ashton can get something to eat, rest our throats just a little bit. And our friend from the comment section, Andre C., is going to be joining us as we go ahead and talk about the preview of night one of WrestleMania, where we have the ultimate tag team match coming up. And we also have the 16 ladder match for the undisputed tag team championships, which apparently could potentially be split. All kinds of stuff to talk about with that as we get to that. We're also going to be going ahead and having a WrestleMania Night 1 post show as soon as WrestleMania ends. Joining us in progress as me and Ashley are going to start the show will be our special guest after he finishes his watch alone. Tony from Get the Tables will be joining us, so go ahead and check that out as we go ahead and do that. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back at it bright and early, 11 a.m., the WrestleMania Night 2 preview show with apparently King Mark, the great Tom Collahue from the Tom Collahue stuff. Make sure to go ahead and give a whole follow if you haven't. Me and Bobby, yes, 4 white men talking wrestling on a Sunday morning. How original of us to go ahead and do. So very original, 4 white men talking wrestling. It's going to be great.
Oh, God.
However, you want something a little bit different, we've got Auntie Collins, Queer Auntie, and Kyle K. Sparks going ahead. On her wedding weekend, Auntie is going to be doing an honor ramble to talk about the wonderful ROH Supercard of Honor that was last night. We're going to go ahead and cover that sometime after. We don't have an exact time yet. It'll be sometime after Point of View. This show will be going on. Make sure to follow the Twitter page for our local establishment to get an exact time. And of course, right after night 2 is over, go ahead and join us as we have Mark Talks Wrestling. We'll be back one more time for one more show. And of course, we're going to join by the wonderful Stephanie Hardy from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, joining me and Bobby Munson as we go ahead and finish off WrestleMania weekend for our local establishment with a post show for WrestleMania Night 2. Who came out on top? Is it Tribal Combat or isn't it? Who is the World Heavyweight Champion? All kinds of questions that we will answer this Sunday night. But for our wonderful guest, Amanda Savage, for the wonderful Mark Talks Wrestling, for Ashley Pizarro, and for myself, thank you for joining us. We'll greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.